is Dalton Russell.
Pay strict attention to what I say because I choose my words carefully and I never repeat myself. I've told you my name. That's the who.
Now that is how you start a movie. Immediately, you are locked in. Today, we're talking about Inside Man, released in 2006. This is arguably the most mainstream movie Spike Lee has ever made, and one of my personal favorites. Spike Lee doesn't usually get mentioned when people talk about heist movies. That space is usually reserved for names like Michael Mann, Christopher Nolan, or Steven Soderbergh. But man, does this movie deserve its flowers? It's a studio thriller with big A-list stars. We're talking Denzel Washington, Jodie Foster, Clive Owen. On paper, it looks like your standard, cops and robbers flicks. On paper, it looks like your standard cop and robber flick, but because it's a Spike Lee joint, it is so much more than that, and a lot of people still don't give Spike Lee enough credit for it. Beneath the surface of this film is Spike Lee doing what he does best, talking about power, class, race, history, and the American obsession with respectability, all wrapped up in a thrilling heist film. Here is why Spike Lee's Inside Man is not just good, it's perfect. So, the premise. A bank robbery in Wall Street, hostages are taken, the police surround the building. We've seen this a million times, right? Dog Day Afternoon, Heat, we know the drill. But the genius of Inside Man is how it flips the mechanics. The money is pretty much just a distraction. The real heist is about control and who has it, who pretends to have it, and who quietly pulls the strings behind the scenes. Spike Lee has Dalton Russell playing a psychological experiment. By dressing the hostages exactly like the robbers, he destroys the police's ability to distinguish good from bad. He's patient, he's calm, he's almost polite. That alone separates him from your typical heist villain. He doesn't want chaos, he wants precision. And look at the structure. Spike Lee flashes forward to the interrogation during the heist. So we get the hostages are safe, but they're confused, and we're a little confused. Before we even know the heist is over, we know some of these people are already safe. That removes the will they survive tension and replaces it with a much more interesting question. How the hell did they pull this off? It turns the movie into a puzzle box rather than just an action flick. And something to keep in mind, a heist movie is only as good as its players. And this cast is ridiculous. You got this perfect love triangle dynamic going on here. In one corner, we got Denzel, the GOAT, Washington, as Detective Keith Fraser. This is peak Denzel. He's charming, he's swaggering, but he's also super vulnerable. He's dealing with corruption allegations. He's trying to get promoted. He represents the law, but he's an outsider within the system. In the other corner, Jodie Foster as Madeline White, the fixer. She represents the elite. She doesn't care about the law. She cares about the order and protecting the rich. She's the scariest person in the movie because she can walk right into the mayor's office and just give an order. Spike Lee uses her to say something very clear, at least to me, that the most dangerous criminals in America don't wear masks. They wear suits. And then, of course, we've got Dalton Russell, the criminal. But as the movie goes on, you start to realize, is he the villain or is he the one exposing the villain? And that's important because Spike Lee loves characters who sit inside contradictions. Fraser believes in justice, but he's operating inside an institution that protects wealth first. He's a black cop navigating power structure that wasn't built with him in mind. Spike Lee doesn't hammer this point home like, let's be honest, a lot of his other movies tend to, but it's always there, quietly shaping the tension of the film. One of the smartest choices I think Spike Lee did is telling us the outcome pretty early. Right from the start, we know the robbers kind of survived this. That is where the direction comes in. A lesser director would have made this a generic thriller, but Spike Lee makes it a portrait of New York City, of the American way of capitalism. And because it's 2006, Lee doesn't ignore the context. There's a scene where the robbers release a hostage who is a Sikh man. The police immediately tackle him, rip off his turban, and call him a terrorist. It's a painful, uncomfortable moment for sure, but it's to remind us, hey, this is like post 9/11 New York City. The tension is real. It adds a layer of social commentary that grounds the movie in reality, a reality that isn't far from the kind of stuff we're seeing today, right now, in maybe a different state. He even throws in a jab at the culture of violence with that Gangster for Life video game that the kid is playing. Spike is always commentating on the world as is, even when he's trying to entertain us. And the way he does it in this movie is flawless. We got the hidden Nazi diamonds aren't just a plot device, they're Spike Lee reminding us that America has always been selective about accountability. Some crimes get prosecuted, some get erased, some get passed down as inheritance. The bank becomes a metaphor for the history itself, full of stolen wealth, buried secrets, and protected legacies, despite the fact that they shouldn't be protected. The reveal that the bank owner had built his fortune on Nazi gold and blood diamonds, that changes everything. The heist wasn't about greed, it wasn't about money, it's about consequences. Dalton Russell doesn't just rob a bank, he robs a war criminal who had successfully hidden his past for decades. And the fact that justice sometimes only partially wins. It ends with Fraser finding the diamond in his pocket. A tip, a thank you from the robber. The good guy and the bad guy share a moment of understanding. They both know the system is rigged, and they both won in their own way. This movie doesn't feel preachy. It doesn't feel heavy-handed. It doesn't scream, this is a Spike Lee film. Again, like I said, other Spike Lee films tend to really scream that in your face, but not this one. That's also why it's one of my favorites. It's much more subtle in its delivery. Though still in your face, I feel the way and the timing is perfect. This to me is Spike Lee playing inside the system the same way Dalton Russell does. He gives the studio a hit thriller and sneaks in that commentary about race and capitalism and moral hypocrisy. Inside Man is a masterclass in how to make a smart blockbuster. It treats the audience with respect. It assumes you're smart enough to follow the non-linear timeline, and it assumes you care about more than just explosions. It's slick, it's stylish, and it's arguably the best heist movie of the 2000s, and one of the best heist movies, personally, I've ever seen. And that's it for the video. If you enjoyed, like, comment, subscribe, share this out with someone who would love it. And until next time, what do you recommend?